Hello there, Drew Hanish, Whiskey Lore, and it is time with a new year to get back into doing some Tasting Tuesdays. I haven't done one of these in a while, and it's that time of year right now where you're starting to see a whole lot of whiskey awards. People telling you whether they're magazines or individuals, YouTubers, what their whiskey of the year is. And I like that, but I also don't like it. The reason that I do like it is because for me, looking out amongst all these different people, it gives me a chance to see some names and brands I probably haven't tried before, and they're telling me that these are really high quality whiskeys. But I also don't like these awards, especially the ones from magazines and the ones that have to be supported by funds for the whiskey to be involved in it. I feel like there's a certain amount of, I don't know if I want to call it pretentiousness to it, or there is this, because this has been paid for, in a way, it kind of lessens the result for me because I feel like maybe there's some great whiskeys that didn't enter this particular competition that deserve to be in this award program. And so in that way, I tend to lean more towards like the YouTubers and people on Instagram who are posting their favorites and that sort of thing, because I feel like, they are not getting a financial gain out of this. This is more just their honest opinion. But then it's also limited because it's limited by their palate and what they like versus what somebody else may like. And it can also be limited by what they've tasted, because honestly, I don't know how big your whiskey budget is, but as doing YouTube videos, I can't buy that much whiskey in a year, so I'm not going to be able to taste, especially the higher end ones. It's going to be harder for me to get access to those whiskeys to do a fair overall review. And this is part of the reason why every year, this time of year, I do Whiskey Lore Bracketology, which is on Instagram. And what it does is it gives everybody a chance to nominate all the whiskeys, the 128 whiskeys that I'll feature, and then put them into brackets and then let people vote until we get to the whiskey of the year. And so far, the whiskeys of the year that I've had in the past have been some pretty good ones, and ones that I was very happy to add to my own collection. For today, I want to do a tasting on one of the whiskeys that has gotten very high marks, that when I bought it and I brought it home, I went, I don't know, it's good, but it's just not what I was expecting. It's not something that is now ranked as one of my favorite whiskeys. But I've heard glowing remarks from certain people about it, and so I have been working on it and trying to give it a chance and try to find out what it is that people love about it. And so what I'll do in that case is I'll go out and read a bunch of different reviews and see if there are any keywords that are sticking out. Maybe what is it that other people are liking about this? Because like for me, when I used to work in a nightclub, there were songs that people would request that I'd be like, I don't really like that song. Why? What is it about this song that makes you want to get out on the dance floor with it? And I always go back to my story about Milli Vanilli. I hated Milli Vanilli when they first came out. I'm like, I don't get it. It's just not really good music to me. And then I got the people in the nightclub who were really reacting well to it. So I was like, well, now I can appreciate it through them. And now I'm becoming a fan. So I was one of those people that went out and bought a copy of the Milli Vanilli CD. And then when they got in trouble for lip syncing and everybody's like, oh, Milli Vanilli crap, we don't touch that stuff. I'm like, damn it, I'm not sending my CD back. You taught me how to like this crap. I am going to like it now. So I still own my Milli Vanilli CD. So anyway, that's the thing. I mean, opinions, take them with a grain of salt, but once you understand what somebody else likes about something, sometimes it can help you appreciate it. So I finally got to that point with this particular whiskey, which is the Arran, or Arran, depending on your particular way of accenting it, what country you come from and how your mouth produces those particular vowels. Isle of Arran is right off of the Kintyre Peninsula. It's near Campbelltown. It's on the east side of Campbelltown and up a bit, or it's on the opposite side of the Kintyre Peninsula from Islay and Jura. But this is not a whiskey that has that peaty West Coast influence. In fact, maybe this is what shocked me about it when I first nosed and tasted it. It's very fruity, but I almost feel like it's more of an Irish whiskey. To me, it's meatier than a triple distilled whiskey is to me, but it doesn't relate to very many Scotch whiskeys that I've had. And so I feel like this is almost like a Scotch whiskey that truly has picked up some of the character of the island that's not that far from it. Maybe it's 50 miles away, something like that. So anyway, it's very interesting. So when you nose this, it has a really nice nose to it. That's the star of the show to me. It has some grain. It has a lot of citrus that comes in on the nose, and a bit of vanilla in there, which makes kind of a creamsicle kind of an effect. So it's got a really pleasant nose to it. So what gets me about this whiskey, I get it. I get what people like about it. It's orange creamsicle, but then it has this little peppery thing on the finish. And to me, I don't know how else to explain this, but it almost feels like and tastes like it's carbonated. And it's not, but there's an effect when I'm drinking it. There's some nice lime that comes in actually on it. A lot of tropical fruit in this. A lot of citrus, definitely. And if you're a fan of that, I can totally understand why you like this particular whiskey. For me, it's not exactly what I like. I like some of the darker fruits that you get out of sherried whiskeys. I like a little bit of a drier kind of a experience. To me, this is almost too sweet. When you say creamsicle, I mean, it really does give you that, along with the nice mouthfeel, it gives you that very kind of sweet thing going on in there. And the other thing that I realized that this has, that is a flavor note I do not like. At first I was going, maybe it's like an almond nuttiness to it, but it's hazelnut. And when I was younger, I used to drink the free coffee at work, and I used to use a lot of hazelnut creamer. And then I got to a point where I hated hazelnut creamer. And so hazelnut is a turnoff for me. So now I get it. I understand. A lot of people probably like that flavor profile. I'm not a big fan of hazelnut. And I was trying to think of a whiskey that I could compare this to other than an Irish whiskey, because I was trying to figure out an Irish whiskey I could point to specifically, but I don't have one that really nails it. But there is one that is a lowland whiskey that has a similar kind of citrusy note to it, and that would be Auchentoshan 12, which I don't have a bottle of. But the American Oak also has that same kind of experience to it. It has that citrusy note to it. And this is one that I recommend to people who are bourbon drinkers who are just getting into trying to drink Scotch, because it has a lot of bourbon barrel influence. So it has much more of an orange rind kind of a nose to it. It again is more of, I'm sure if I knew the flavors of like tangerine, versus different types of oranges. I might be able to nail it more, but this is interesting because it also has that bourbon vanilla to it, but it's a more mature smell to me. And there's some baking spice in this that I think kind of brings it all together. It's like that thing that makes it not feel overly bright and aggressive on the sweetness, but kind of pulls it in a little bit. Yeah, it's pleasant. It doesn't smack you in the face, and I think that's what I like. And the hazelnut's not there, so that's a big plus for me. But it's got the nice vanilla. It's got the citrus, but it is a much more. You almost have to. You don't have to hunt hard for it, but it is there out front. But it's not as in your face as you get with the Arran 10. So if I were going to recommend to somebody coming into my home between these two whiskeys, I would go with the American Oak. I just like it as a slightly more, what I would call, I don't want to call it refined, but it's just, to me, it requires a little bit more attention, and it's not like a pop record today that when you listen to it, it's just like music in your face, 3 chords and maybe 2 chords. It's got a little bit more going on with it, and so that would be the reason that I would wind up with the American Oak. So anyway, be interesting to hear your comments on it and see if you're a fan of Arran 10 or whether you would agree with me on maybe going with something that's a little bit more subtle. Like I said, I don't think either one of these, the Arran, I'm pleased to serve it to people, and I think it's a really good whiskey. Creamsicle is not my thing. I can enjoy it for a moment, but I've had one gulp of it and I'm pretty much off, and the hazelnut is what throws me the rest of the way off. So anyway, that's my review. Again, let me know your thoughts on it. And if you want to jump in on the voting on bracketology, just go on Instagram.com/whiskey-lore. Every day I will post a couple of pairings of whiskeys, and you can vote along with everybody else, and we'll find out who you guys think, or what you guys think, is the whiskey of the year for 2022. Until next time, cheers and Slán Java. I'm going to finish with my creamsicle.